My name is Darren Villano, and this is an inside look of what it's really like to start and run a business. This is where I share insights and ideas, practical tips and strategies that I've learned both from running my own company as well as from working with other small business owners and entrepreneurs. I'll take you behind the scenes of my business and other businesses too, because I believe that as entrepreneurs, what we can learn from each other is limitless. So come on and join me now as we go inside my business. One of the questions that I've gotten from time to time is, hey Darren, how do you know that you're an entrepreneur? How do you know that this is your calling, that this is what you should be doing? Maybe you're contemplating it yourself. Maybe you think you're an entrepreneur, or you want to be an entrepreneur, or you've tried and failed and you're questioning it right now, and you're asking yourself the same question. And I want to talk about this today because it brings up that age-old question that comes up time and time again. Is entrepreneurship something that you're born with, or can it be something that's taught? We hear this question over and over again. Which one is it? Is it natural talent or acquired skill? And the short answer is both. But let's dig into this a little bit. Everything that we as human beings do that's complex is going to require some of these two elements. These are sort of the main two elements that are going to come into play. And I don't care if you're trying to become an attorney or an engineer or a rock climber or a musician or a singer or an artist, whatever it is that you're trying to do, these are the two pieces that you have to work with. Now, natural talent is not something that we can control. Acquired skill, on the other hand, is something that we can control and we have a big part in. But let's look at this. The reason why the answer is not you're born with it, or it's just in your DNA, or it's just black and white, is because we all know that natural talent isn't enough to carry the day. It's not enough to get the job done for a couple reasons. First, you probably know people in your life, people that you've come across that have had tons of talent in a specific area, but really went nowhere with it. It was because they didn't develop it. They didn't practice. They didn't strive for excellence. That's the acquired skill part of it. So raw talent alone isn't going to get you there. The world is full of wasted talent. We all know this. The other reason is that even if you have talent, you still need to hone it and develop it and shape it. All of the greats in all walks of life, not just entrepreneurship, but I don't care if you're talking in sports or music or entertainment or whatever you're talking about, the people that are the greats, the people that have achieved at the highest levels, have had to cultivate their natural talent. Maybe they did have a natural talent for something, figured that out, but then developed it. And on that journey, I guarantee you, they fell on their face many times. There are many, many stories of people that are in the NBA or in the NFL or are the highest paid actors that struggled at some point. They were cut from the team. They were told they couldn't do it. They were told that they were wasting their coach's time. This happens all of the time. You have to, just natural talent isn't enough. We're not born into this world being an entrepreneur. We don't come out and all of a sudden start running a business. We don't come out and start being a lawyer. We don't come out and start, designing buildings like an architect. These complex activities that we do are all things that we have to cultivate and grow and develop over time. So natural talent alone is not going to get you there. On the other hand, acquired skill, the ability to learn, whether it's passive learning or active learning, and of course, most importantly, the act of doing or experience, repetition, practice over and over again, honing your craft, that is going to take you leaps and bounds regardless of what level of natural talent you have. You might have a little bit in an area, you might have a lot in an area, but that ability to work hard, to put in the thousands of hours required is what's going to get you to that level of being successful in how you define it. Now, I believe that as human beings, we all have natural ability to be great in something. We all have natural talent, and I believe more than one thing. The question is, will we figure it out? That's really part of the secret here, because what happens is, you may not discover what your talent is. Because there's some serendipity involved, luck involved, circumstance, where you're born, where in the world you come from, what you have access to, what age are you born into, what's going on at that time. These are all these factors are going to play into whether you discover what you do have a talent for. You might be walking around right now with the ability, the natural latent talent to be the world's best violinist, the best in the world. But if you've never picked up a violin, if you've never tried it, you'll never know. And I believe that happens all the time. We all have things that we could be great at, but we've never tried them. So part of our journey is to figure out what we are great at and gravitate to that and cultivate that. Now, here's the other thing that I love about this argument is people that will say entrepreneurship is something you're born with, it's black and white, you have it or you don't. The people that say that like to make the comparison to sports or to musicians or to acting. And they'll say, well, gee, I love football and I could pass football all day long, but I'm never going to be Tom Brady. I'm never going to be the quarterback for the New England Patriots, no matter how hard I try, no matter how much work I put into. And that's true. But here's the problem with that. It's a false comparison for a couple reasons. First, that's assuming that you being an entrepreneur, that you're only defining success as being at the very highest level. So think of the entrepreneurs that have achieved at the very highest level, whoever you admire. That's like saying if you don't get to that level, then you're not an entrepreneur. You didn't make it. You failed. And we know that that's not true. The problem with the sports comparison or the entertainment comparison is those are very much a winner-take-all type of industry. If you're a football player in this country, to make it to the NFL, that's out of all the millions of people that have ever played football, it's 0.00001% make it to the highest level, and they make the money, and everyone else, doesn't get to do it for a living. And the other problem with this comparison is it puts too much weight on two variables, money and fame. Again, with a sports analogy, you're saying if you work and work and work and work, you can't be, LeBron James, but that's assuming that you're trying to achieve that level of wealth, notoriety, and fame. In entrepreneurship, it doesn't work like that. If this is the spectrum of entrepreneurship, if over here on this end is barely getting by, barely making it, and over here is the most successful entrepreneurs ever, people that we as a society put on a pedestal. So, Oprah Winfrey or Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, whoever is the best for you. If this is the spectrum, in between is this wide gap for all of the rest of us to fit into and still be successful. You can be hugely successful in your own terms within the middle of this. You don't have to just be on this highest end to be an entrepreneur, to be successful. You can be in the middle. You could be making 50,000, 80,000, 100,000, 500,000, and that's just talking money, and still be successful. More importantly, you may define success as you're doing what you love. You're working, you're controlling your environment. You're in control of what you do. You're able to contribute back to the community. You're able to give back in a meaningful way. You're able to employ people and be part of the economy and creating jobs. You're producing a product that you're proud of, that you love. You're doing something that you're passionate about. These are all different ways of being successful, of defining success for you. And in the middle is room for all of that. For example, my mother is a business owner and entrepreneur. She's had her own business for over 30 years. She successfully raised 3 children with it, provided for herself. She still works in that business today. And is she famous? No. Do people know her? No. Is she on the cover of magazines? Is she being interviewed? Is she the wealthiest person? No. But is she successful? Yes. You better believe she is, because she's successful in the way she's defined it for herself. She's been able to provide for her family. She's been able to do the work that she loves. She's been able to be there for her customers. She's been able to be an example for others in our family. Absolutely, she's been successful. And this is what the problem is with the false comparison when it comes to athletes and musicians and superstars. Entrepreneurship is not a winner-take-all industry. There's room for everyone. It's a big tent. And it's also a very long game. Unlike sports metaphors, where you have a very short, limited time to play, or your voice is only going to be what it is for so long, or your acting skills and how in demand you are is only going to be around for so long. Entrepreneurship is a much longer game. For decades, you can play this game. That means you can make mistakes and you can pick yourself up and you can proceed forward and you can learn from it and you can get better and better and better. And the acquired skill over time will start to overweigh or make up for any shortcoming that you may have in the natural talent area. So I really want to send this message out to anybody who's thinking about this, contemplating this, or has been concerned about it. It breaks my heart to think that somebody out there isn't pursuing their dream of being an entrepreneur, or is ready to quit, or is unsure because they heard that because they didn't have the narrative of working in lemonade stands and hustling when they were a kid, that somehow they don't have it and they're not really an entrepreneur, when in fact there are many, many stories of people who have come to it in many different ways much later in life and have been hugely successful. It breaks my heart to think that those people are out there and that may give up on what they're trying to do or their dream. Don't let anyone fool you into thinking that you have to be born with it. If you have the desire, if you have the passion, if you're willing to put in the work, if you're willing to learn from your mistakes, you can be successful as an entrepreneur.